There is a lot of things that have changed in society since the Industrial Revolution that would have an impact on decreased mental health. One of those things is just being outdoors and doing things outdoors, physical activity, and there is some research that supports the notion that doing physical activity outdoors does lead to better mental health outcomes.
The revolution being something that was 300 years ago, but back then it was working in a field and doing something that, you know, directly produced a result within 8 hours or the end of the season. More and more and more, we're forced into work that has less purpose, or it feels like it has less purpose.
We're a non-profit surf community, raising awareness for mental health by sharing a simple recipe of salt water, surfing, good mates and Fluoro Fridays. And the inspiration behind it was I suffered from anxiety and depression for about 10 years but didn't tell anyone. Like, I knew my dad had bipolar, but you know, I was a dude and I don't want my friends to see me as some sad dude, so I just kept battling on, you know, that's what you do.
I joined OneWave about 2 years ago. I heard about the community through a friend, and really I actually just wanted to go check it out because they sounded like they were having a lot of fun. And when I found out that it was actually to raise awareness of mental health issues, it really struck a chord with me.
I became a Fluoro Friday member about 1.5 years ago. I'd sort of drifted off because I'd sort of become a semi-alcoholic binge drinker, and I'd quit that probably about a year or so before I got into OneWave, and OneWave basically brought back my stoke.
So OneWave is a great initiative that actually provides both of these elements, the physical health and the mental health together. It's allowing people to come down and feel that sense of community on a Friday morning at the beach, and it's also allowing people to talk about something that is otherwise ignored in society.
I think the lives that we lead, where people can end up in a job or in a career that they don't actually really value or they don't think has meaning, that can really contribute to people's mental health, because they're literally doing something every day that they don't enjoy.
Modern day life has actually brought with it a whole lot of reasons that people stay indoors. You know, kids are nowadays playing on their computer games a lot of the time. There's not as much socialisation, interaction, physical health outside. You know, when in the 90s, so to speak, there was a lot more outdoor physical health. You know, people would play sporting games, less people would be using technology. Whereas now that's really common for people to be just locked away playing those video games all day.
And we seem to be running around in our everyday lives and just hopping on a train or a bus, going to work, coming home, watching TV, and that's it. It's like, for me, at one stage in my life, I felt like I was just a hamster running around on a wheel, going nowhere in life, and it was just soul destroying. So for me, modern day life is about unplugging from the hamster wheel.
The modern sort of version of the society that I was living in, it was basically, we did everything revolved around alcohol. Like, you would go to dinner and there'd be booze, you'd have barbecues, christenings, weddings, everything. There was no sort of cutback, and it kind of got out of control for me.
I think it's difficult to actually say whether depression has become a bigger problem in modern day society. The fact that we're actually screening a lot more is one reason why more cases of depression are actually being diagnosed. Back in the day, when people would quite often be told, you know, if you're feeling depressed, come on, you know, get over it. It's time to build a bridge and get on with what you're doing. And it was that really hardened sense of, you know, camaraderie, where you just had to not, you know, fall to the weakness of your emotion.
Traditional therapy, with sort of being in four walls within a room in a clinical environment, there are a lot of benefits of that, absolutely, and one-on-one with a therapist. But I guess the main point of that kind of therapy is to translate, or any kind of therapy, is to translate into the real world. And the great thing about programs or environments where there's a social element, where there's multiple people around, where you're interacting, you're actually living what you're trying to do, if that makes sense. So you're living it, you're experiencing it, you're practicing it, and you're getting so much more positive feedback. So within a therapy session, it's sort of, you talk through things and you maybe do a bit of role playing and you kind of get an idea of what you want your life to be. But when you're in a social environment or in a program that supports interaction, you're actually doing it. And that's so much more valuable because then you internalize it and it becomes part of who you are.
Actually seeing a psychologist at the moment, and that is, for me, it's also very, very good because it's just helped me break down a few things where I don't think just talking to everyday people would be, because for me it's probably a little bit heavy, and I'm a little bit too shy and slightly embarrassed about some of the things to express at a greater community.
I think the first step in the right direction is actually talking about mental illness and being able to say, I'm struggling. Being able to acknowledge that you have a problem is the first step to getting better. A lot of people are actually still caught up in the stereotypes and the stigma that exist in society, and that means that they don't want to admit it at all.
The whole concept of OneWave it allowed me to connect with other people.
The really exciting thing about the research we're doing now is that it's kind of new. There's a gap in the research where we're not seeing a lot of studies coming out about the impacts of surfing on mental health. So there's probably literally just a handful, but all of the ones that have been done have shown that there's definitely positive impacts from surfing. So a number of studies have been done just showing the differences between people that surf regularly and people that don't surf regularly. And there's definitely positive implications for mental health in those studies.
When I heard about OneWave, it just, it made me smile, hey? It was just one of those things where I was like, yeah, I want to go surfing. Yeah, I want to meet some rad people. And why not do something that matters at the same time? So yeah, it just seemed like kind of the perfect thing to do.
The fact of like knowing that there is, 10 to 50 people waiting on a Friday morning to just say hi and see you and want to see you and are there to hug you and share their happiness and their sorrows and all things, and then just go out and go for a surf, and just, it's so immensely exciting and happy, and it's very rare that I don't get up and go out.
At the end of the day, we all are in this world together, and we're all in it to affect one another in some way. And whatever you're doing. So OneWave is pretty much, that's the epitome of it. We're all here in a community to be a part of a community, have an effect on other people, whether it's being there to listen or being there to support. OneWave sort of fills that gap, and I wouldn't spend my life any other way but as a part of this community. And that's why I do it, I think. Yeah.